The Western Cape High Court delivered a significant win for Cape Town ratepayers by declaring the City of Cape Town's fixed charges for water, sanitation and cleaning services, levied of course according to the property value bands rather than actual assumption, unlawful and invalid. Of course, it was also ruled that the City of Cape Town and the mayoral office held by Jordan Hill-Lewis had to pay full legal costs. This recent court ruling that has the potential to reshape local governance across South Africa could hardly come at a worse moment for the new DA leader. But at the same time, it couldn't be more significant and a victory for South African ratepayers all across the country. Just as Jordan Hill-Lewis is emerging as one of the front-runners to lead the Democratic Alliance nationally, this High Court judgment has blown a massive hole in the very policy project on which he built his entire reputation, thereby exposing and unraveling one of the most ambitious local government social engineering experiments of the century, especially in South Africa. In its 2025-2026 budget approved by the City of Cape Town Council last year, the Mother City introduced this new tariff model that radically increased fixed charges in municipal bills. For residential water services, the fixed charge was linked to the municipal value of the property. This means that two households using the exact same amount of water could pay radically different fixed charges simply because one property was worth more than the other. At the time, the city's mayor, Jordan Hill-Lewis, argued strongly that this was necessary to fund infrastructure, water security projects, wastewater treatment expansion, and subsidize services for the poorer residents who don't pay these same rates. A year ago, when this budget was proposed, we did a full analysis here on this channel to expose exactly how unjust it truly is towards the hard-working homeowners and ratepayers of Cape Town, and how this budget did nothing more than serve Hill-Lewis's agenda of demographically transforming Cape Town and eroding the city's communities. Of course, we unraveled the sly way in which Jordan Hill-Lewis used the mathematics to make it look or make it seem like Cape Town residents are paying less rates and taxes than anyone else in the country by showing the true mathematics of how they are actually paying more than not just more than the rest of the country, but even more than major international cities like London and New York, for example. If you haven't watched that video, then it means you are probably not subscribed to this channel. It's free to subscribe to the channel, and we believe that you will benefit greatly from doing so. So if you want to, click that subscribe button. In the months that followed, we continued to cover developments much to the irritation of Hill-Lewis. As our team continued to expose the truth about these rates for all to see, he reverted to launching personal attacks on me, on X, attempting to insult me by calling me names such as Timo Blanche. At the time, I simply responded by noting that, well, at least Timo delivers. Stay tuned for this one, it's going to be a very bumpy ride because in this video, I'm going to highlight how developments over the past year, and especially the most recent court ruling against Hill-Lewis, have revealed the Cape Town government's true colours and true intentions and exposed the real extent to which they have truly violated the rights of the people of Cape Town for so long. The city budget approved in June last year, which came into effect 1 month later, enforced these steep hikes on property owners in Cape Town. These included, among other things, a property tax increase of 8%, fixed electricity charge increases of up to 27%, and on top of all of this, additional cleaning tariffs linked directly to the property values of your homes. For a middle-class family in Goodwood or Parow, this implied roughly 350 more per month or 4,500 rands more annually. In wealthier subjects such as Rondebosch, increases were typically well over 1,000 rands per month. With the new tariff structure, when adjusted for property values, upper middle class Cape Townians ended up paying nearly 20% more than their Pretoria counterparts, with middle class households spending up to 17% of their total income on municipal levies. But the real issue wasn't just the increase. After all, as a rule, people are generally willing to pay for services that they actually receive and want to receive. The core issue here was always the fact that the real driver of these hikes wasn't improved services for the ratepayers, but the staggering cost of Cape Town's rapidly growing informal settlements. Settlements that arise precisely because of the city's implementation of this Fabian form of social democracy on a local government or city level. In 2024 alone, more than 3 billion rands was poured into relief and support for squatter camps, illegal squatter camps, while billions more were allocated for policing crime, the very high crime in these neighborhoods. The crime that has seen the city of Cape Town becoming the city in South Africa with the highest murder rate of all cities. Something totally out of the ordinary for a city or even a town in the Cape Province. And from 2025 onwards, the city planned to spend an additional 30 billion rands over the course of 3 years to do what? To accommodate even more economic migrants flooding into the Western Cape, flooding into the city of Cape Town, primarily of course from the Eastern Cape, but also a huge number from all over Africa, from Nigeria to Zimbabwe. In fact, with the new structure, the total rates and taxes for a $2.5 million apartment in Cape Town were suddenly around 4 times more than even in wealthy international hubs such as London, Berlin and New York. Of course, this project by Hugh Lewis also predictably created a vicious cycle. As Cape Town becomes known as the city of free services and free houses, more economic migrants flood in, further straining the infrastructure, escalating the crime massively, and driving up the costs for hard-working ratepayers who have to subsidize these illegal squatter camps. In the same way that Germany's generous welfare policies attracted waves of millions of migrants from 2015 onwards, something which has completely eroded the social fabric of the large German cities by means of a complete demographic revolution, so too has Cape Town's approach now served to turn the city into a magnet for mass migration from all across the African continent. Yet, when someone even dares to speak up against this, or even just name the facts about this without even giving their personal opinion on it, they get the kind of inhumane treatment that the Cape Independence Party's Jack Miller had to endure during a city council debate in May last year. Take a look at this. This happened after Miller had pointed out the fact that within the space of a single decade, the number of people living in informal settlements in and around Cape Town had increased from just under 300,000 to over 1.5 million illegal squatters around the city. Thankfully, after people like Miller, we here at the Willem Petzer Group and many others raised the alarm, a litigation process was initiated, led by the South African Property Owners Association, in which Cape Town's fixed utility charges were challenged in the Western Cape High Court. The City of Cape Town's defence was built around the idea that their Fabian social engineering constituted a pro-poor budget, in which wealthier property owners would contribute towards funding services equally for everyone. Yet, the High Court recently ruled against the city, declaring the new rate structure to be unlawful and invalid. The ruling maintained that municipal services charges must be tied to the services being rendered itself and not the wealth of the property owner. Still, despite the ruling, the court suspended implementation until July of this year. meaning that this month is the last in which Cape Townians will have to pay these elevated rates. But the big ongoing debate and the big ongoing fight right now is whether the city's ratepayers can legally demand repayment for being overcharged unlawfully, invalidly and illegally, something the Good Party, which has the most of its support in Cape Town, is still campaigning for. Interestingly enough, one of the most important aspects of this ruling in the Western Cape High Court is that it has fundamentally rejected the municipality's socialist project of using municipal rates and levies as a means of wealth redistribution, meaning that even if other parties such as the ANC tried in other cities, it would still be invalid and illegal. The judgment, after all, struck down a tariff model that the city had explicitly defended on the basis that wealthier property owners should, by should I mean morally, contribute more towards funding services for others. This, in and of itself, constitutes a tremendous breakthrough for local governance in this country and a very, very big win for any of us who are not socialist inclined. Further, politically speaking, the court ruling could have tremendous repercussions far beyond just Cape Town or the DA-led Western Cape, and even on a national level, specifically in an election year such as this one. For one, the judgment potentially has implications for municipalities across South Africa, especially in places such as Johannesburg, where the municipality has also started to increasingly rely on fixed charges and tariff structures that are not directly linked to consumption, but rather to the value of their properties. But beyond this, it must be said that this ruling came at the worst possible moment for the Democratic Alliance, which has been the second largest party in every election since its founding in 2000, and the largest party in the Western Cape since it ended the ANC's 15-year rule in the province in 2009. Today, the party is in serious trouble. However, losing by-election after by-election in its former stronghold of the Western Cape, especially conceding wards to the Patriotic Alliance. In a recent by-election in Cluttersville in Stellenbosch, for example, the PA grew from just 3% to 39%, while the DA dropped from 48% to 31%. This is but one of many examples that we've seen of wards that the DA keeps conceding to the Patriotic Alliance in the Western Cape. What is more, the votes that the DA is leaking to the Patriotic Alliance can be directly attributed to their destructive policies that attract so many economic migrants, not only from the Eastern Cape and elsewhere across the African continent, with the PA openly standing up for the Cape-coloured people as the historic demographic majority in the province, over against the open border policies promoted by the new Liberal Democratic Alliance led by Jordan Hill-Lewis. The recent court ruling by the Western Cape High Court has absolutely vindicated us here at the Willem Petscher Group as well, in terms of every key aspect of the City of Cape Town's budget, which he has repeatedly criticized over the past year. But perhaps more importantly, it has left the DA with a serious predicament. For in light of this latest court ruling, one cannot help but wonder whether appointing Jordan Hill-Lewis as the new federal leader of the party isn't strategically the worst possible move at this specific date and time. And it is one that could end up costing the party dearly in the upcoming municipal elections, using the most, I would almost say hated, but let's say disliked mayor in the country, and putting him as the leader of the party, a mayor of a party that has just lost a court case for arguing that there should be more socialism in Cape Town, and even our very left-leaning courts have ruled against him. This is something we also highlighted in a very recent video, which you can watch by clicking on this link appearing on your screen right here. And please do support our work by becoming a paying member of the Willem Petscher Group. Only with your investment in us are we able to pay our researchers salaries in order to create videos of this standard and this quality every single day? Follow the easy steps on the banner. Goodbye and God bless.